Today's episode of Darkness Radio is dedicated to the memory of Jay Briscoe. There's a quote that fits Jay Briscoe of Ring of Honor from Thomas Edison, and it says, "Opportunity is missed by most people because it is dressed in overalls and looks like work." Jay Briscoe was the living embodiment of hard work. When you looked at the way he walked, the way he talked, the way he dressed, and his work ethic, he was the living embodiment of hard work. Never took a shortcut, always took the long way around, and always fought hard for everything he had. We'll leave the rest of this eulogy for Beer City Bruiser next week, as he knew Jay Briscoe probably better than all of us. I mean, he got in the ring with Jay Briscoe and had many a battle with him, but we'll leave that for next week. But in the meantime, we just pray for Jay Briscoe's family and for his friends, that they find some sort of comfort and strength in this dire time, and know that we here at Darkness Radio are also praying for them for comfort and for strength in this time where they're missing Jay terribly. Rest in peace, Jay Briscoe. You will be missed terribly, and thank you for all the years of entertainment. Welcome into the best in paranormal talk radio. This is Darkness Radio. I'm Tim Dennis. It's a Supernatural News Wednesday. That means you're going to get a whole smorgasbord full of interesting paranormal stuff. You know what? We've got some interesting stories today. We'll go over here in just a second. But first, we need a co-host. Let's bring in the co-host with the most. The big cuddly one, the BCB, the Beer City Bruiser himself. Bruiser, how you doing today?
Tired, Tim. We're doing this pretty early.
Yeah, we're doing it a little early today. I got a full slate today, my friend. I get a little bit of a good news on the foot front today. I'm getting out of. I've been in because I don't update listeners a lot on the Sharko foot front. I've been in a cast for a long time. It's to heal a foot wound. I know the Sharko foot stuff gets a little taxing or tiring at times. The foot's been fully healed for a long time, but I've been in it just to kind of protect it. So today they're transferring me to a new foot protection or foot orthotic called an Arizona brace.
Yeah.
Because my Crow Walker boot had been causing foot wounds. So we're trying something different today. So yeah, I'm getting.
And I don't mind getting up early if it means you're getting better. I'm okay with it.
Yeah,
I've had some coffee. I've taken Ziggy out, played her, so she's tired. She's sleeping, won't bother us.
Oh, all right.
I have my pre-workout all set, so when we get done recording, I'll chug that and head to the gym.
That's a little too bad because we actually have some pretty good news on the Ziggy's Picks front. We can talk about that. We could talk about it a little bit later in the program, but my God, she turned up the heat for Wildcard weekend.
She sure made me look like a fool. I went against some of her picks.
Yeah, you and me both, brother. I'll tell you that. Yeah, evidently she knows a little bit more than the rest of us. We'll talk about that a little bit later in the program. So yeah, kind of some bad news on the celebrity front as far as celebrity deaths.
Yeah, they're falling off, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, and the one that I guess is the most important one, or I shouldn't say the most important, but the most recognized one over the last week to 10 days would be Lisa Marie Presley, who died at 54 years old, and it was from a cardiac arrest.
I had a crush on her. I want to say she was probably one of my first older women crushes. Mm-hmm. And I had a crush on her for years. And then I saw a side-by-side of her and Elvis. Oh, and yeah. They were both doing the lip thing. And I was like, oh, yeah, no. This is Elvis with the wig.
Now, keep in mind, there were other deaths as well. I mean, we can talk about Lisa Marie here for a second. I guess for someone, and I'm right around the same age as Lisa Marie. I'm actually a little younger, but it was devastating because it's someone right around your own age that you feel like you grew up with, and it's just all of a sudden. But she did not look good at the Golden Globes.
People keep saying that. I didn't watch the Golden Globes, but Mrs. Bruiser brought that up. She goes, because I was like, oh my God, she passed away. Like, heart health, you and I talk about it all the time. You get your heart checked.
Yeah.
As soon as you reach 40, just get your, it's simple blood work. It's easy.
Yeah. Yep.
And Mrs. Bruiser said, no, you should have seen at the Golden Globe. She looked off. She looked bad. And I was like, really? And she clapped shortly after that, didn't she?
Yeah, 2 days. 2 days after the Globes, she had her cardiac incident or cardiac arrest incident.
I think you can take notice of that because if you remember the legendary Roddy Piper, 2 days before he passed, he did an interview on a sports thing, and he looked ragged. He looked tired. His speech was slurred. And then 2 days later, he passed. Yeah. And it sounds like the same with Lisa Marie here.
Well, what was, there were some signs even at the Golden Globes. I forget who she went with. If it was her ex or her current beau that she was with. She's doing a stand-up interview on the red carpet, and she puts her, how a lady will put her arm around who she's with to kind of either as a sign of support, but she did it to steady herself. And she said, woo, she kind of went, woo, like she was getting dizzy. And she said, I'm going to need you to help hold me up.
Oh, wow. During
the middle of the interview. And I think it was with Entertainment Tonight. It was Entertainment Tonight I was watching when I saw the interview. And it was alarming, to say the least. It was really alarming. And she looked so gaunt. In fact, I would never speak ill of the dead or anything like that. But to me, when you saw her sitting right next to Priscilla, keep in mind, Priscilla is 77 years old. Yeah. To me, she looked exactly like her mother. Now, keep in mind, she's 54. So I don't want to say she looked terrible that night, but she didn't look like herself. This wasn't lively, just lively, youthful Lisa Marie Presley, and both her and her father and her mother to some extent have that youthful appearance. Especially
her son that passed away had that youthful appearance. I don't know if you remember before her son passed away. Yep. They were comparing him to a young Elvis, like with looks, and it's the bone. It's something about where they don't age. Priscilla still looks gorgeous at 70-some years old. Yeah. And my heart goes out to her because she lost Elvis in a sudden way. She lost her grandson in a sudden way. Now here she lost her daughter in a sudden way. And no parent should outlive their child. Right. Exactly. This also makes you rethink a little bit, although I won't ever excuse one cause of death or another, or kind of poo-poo it or dismiss it. Elvis's official cause of death was a heart attack, was cardiac arrest. And, people say, well, yeah, but look at all the drugs he was taking. Look at how many drugs were being pumped through him. He had to have died from an overdose. But it was officially cardiac arrest. And now that you see how young he died, and mind you, it was probably a drug-fueled cardiac arrest. But, and considering his age in his 40s, it had to have been. But you look at Lisa Marie, who, in her day had her fair share of drugs as well. I was going to say, she partied back in the day. She did. Yeah. But that cardiac arrest is still, running through the family. There could be some genetic factors at play here too, along with the fact that there was abuse of drugs. Well, I think if you go in Elvis's history, his father passed away of a cardiac arrest, and I believe his twin brother, the cause of death when they were born was cardiac arrest. So I'm a big believer that genetics play into things. I lost my grandfather passed away of cardiac arrest. I had my cousin who's only 35 passed away of that Widowmaker, they call it.
Yep.
In his sleep, he passed away with that. My aunt just had heart replacement. My mother's going through heart stuff right now, so that's why I'm Mrs. Bruiser right away. When my cousin passed away, she looked at me and she said, "You're going to get get checked out." So I went to the doctor. I says, my wife's worried about this. What do I do? He goes, "Oh, it's simple. We'll do an EKG. We'll do blood work. And then we just keep doing blood work." I said, "Really? That's it?" He says, "Yep."
Yeah.
Everybody, if you get to a certain age, 40, get your heart checked.
Yeah.
It's the most important. Your heart and your brain are the two most important things in your body.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm learning that firsthand, brother. That's for sure.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I'm preaching to the choir about how important it is.
That's for sure.
Now, is it family history in your side?
Yeah. Both my parents have had bypasses. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah. See, genetics.
Yeah. Exactly. So, along with Lisa Marie Presley, we've had some other deaths during the week. Gina Lollobrigida, the Italian film legend, once dubbed the most beautiful woman in the world, passed away at 95. So that one, I think we knew was coming.
Yeah.
You had Robbie Knievel, who was the second generation stuntman, who eclipsed some of his father's own records. He jumped the fountain at Caesars.
Yeah.
That was one thing his father never did.
I've seen him live a couple times. My dad was a big Evel Knievel fan. Yeah, my dad, growing up, we were big Evel Knievel. We were an Evel Knievel family. So when Robbie came out, we saw him do a couple jumps. Then he had a reality show for a little bit, which was fun to watch.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
And then he just kind of fell off the map until this happened. And I'm surprised it wasn't a stunt because he was pushing the limits.
Yeah. Well, his last stunt, I believe, was in 2011.
Yeah, it was a while ago.
Yeah.
And I think he got hurt doing it, didn't he?
He did. He got hurt on that last stunt. And so it was unfortunate for that. And unfortunate because Robbie passed away at the age of 60 from cancer.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Rough way to go. And it was a rough life, but a fast one, that's for sure. Yeah, for sure.
And he was a personality, just like his father.
Exactly. Also passing away, Jeff Beck, couple of music deaths. Jeff Beck passed away from a sudden illness. I believe it was bacterial meningitis.
Ooh.
Yeah, and he passed away at 78. 78, and he was out on the road still, Bruiser.
Yeah, but you know what? Being on the road as much as I've been on, when you get used to life on the road. So when you have to take a couple days off, it doesn't feel right. Yeah. So I can see it because you always hear about, especially artists, because wasn't Tom Petty touring when he passed?
Yes. Yep.
He was in the 70s. You know what I mean? Prince was getting ready to tour. And it's just like, I get it. It's hard to go from that schedule, hustle and bustle lifestyle to what do I do with my hands? I'm just sitting here at home. True. I got lucky, and when I took a limited schedule because of my hip, we got Ziggy, so she kind of distracted me from the hustle and bustle. But I still do it. I mean, you and I talk about it all the time, but I'm learning to switch over. I can't imagine someone like Jeff Beck, he's been on the road since he was, I'm assuming, in his 20s.
Oh, earlier than that. I think he was a teenage prodigy. Well, he played bars. If I remember right, reading the article.
Okay.
Yeah, he started playing bars when he was young. So
yeah, so they'll tour themselves to death, which he did.
Yeah. So
which Tom Petty did, which Johnny Cash did.
Yeah,
I mean, you go to the old legends, man.
That's right.
Kiss will do that.
Yep. Yeah, they'll play until they're dead and in the ground, and even then they'll pop out of their Kiss coffins.
And they're going to play their funerals.
They'll play their own funerals, and then they'll tour after that.
It'll be called "We Was Serious This Time." This is the last tour.
Yeah, Back from the Dead, the very, very last tour of Kiss. And then finally, Robbie Bachman, the drummer from Bachman Turner Overdrive and Brave Belt, died at age 69. So, I mean, it's just a lot of people recently, probably more so than I think even in different spurts in 2022. I don't know. It just seems like things are speeding up here, man.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So
now my question to you is, does Lisa Marie haunt Graceland?
That's a good question. Although she owns it, I don't think she haunts it.
No.
Mm-mm.
I was always told, because I've always wanted to go to Graceland. I'm an Elvis fan. I grew up my mother was in love with Elvis. In fact, some of my old wrestling gear was inspired by the '68 comeback. And I was told if you go to Graceland, this is when Lisa Marie was still alive, if you go to Graceland and you look at the upper area, if you see the air conditioning on, that means either Lisa Marie or Priscilla were there.
Really?
Yeah, and I never got to go, so I never got to see it. So now I'm sure they have central air, but
I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure. Well, that's the celebrity stuff for this week. Shall we move on to, of course, our first topic of the day, which would be aliens?
Yes, we shall.
Okay. Interestingly enough, let's bring our friend Uri Gellar into this. Listen to me, my third grade reading level. Uri Gellar predicted that alien invasion would happen after a baffling discovery and warned NASA to prepare.
Oh, okay. What's Uri got for us?
Well, the legendary spoonbender Uri Gellar claims that aliens are testing systems on Earth with UFO sightings near nuclear facilities, having predicted an imminent invasion. He's patting himself on the back again. You could tell because his arm is way stretched out on one side. Uri Gellar believes that the sighting of UFOs by nuclear facilities on Earth are aliens testing technology on Earth. And having predicted that an invasion is imminent, he's all proud of the fact that he's done that. Uri has been investigating sightings and alleged contact with alien life, and he is now convinced that interference with the internet and other mysterious goings-on are down to non-earthly forces. Couldn't be that there's sun flares or anything with satellites or anything like that, but, don't look over there.
Can we just tell Uri he just needs to upgrade his Wi-Fi?
Yeah, there could be that too. I don't know if Yuri's noticed this, but a lot of us have had that issue lately. I've had it at my house.
I've had it at mine the last couple of weeks. I record with you. We've had to stop and start because my Wi-Fi's dropped out. And I don't think there's an alien outside testing anything.
No, I think if you call your cable company, they'll tell you that there's just satellite issues right now. I don't know. He said that something major is brewing with aliens testing systems and that many UFOs have been seen close to nuclear plants.
I would love to have a beer with Uri just to ask him why he thinks this. Because first of all, why they don't need nuclear power. We've proven they're using some sort of other power. All the research that's come out at Area 51 and all that, and all those guys that have come out that are reverse engineering alien technology, and now they're public. You know what I mean? Yeah. They've all said they have certain tech that they're reverse engineering, trying to learn. They don't need nuclear power.
If we figured out how to do laser fusion, I'm sure they have something else too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's just a coincidence there have to be a nuclear power plant near there. And they're just, like you said, a sun flare happened. So his Wi-Fi kicked out for a second. They had to reboot his router.
Yeah, exactly. On Wednesday, the U.S. saw more than 10,000 flights canceled or delayed due to what was put down as a computer problem with a corrupted database file, which it was. It was shown that it was the actual FAA employees themselves that corrupted the file.
Yeah.
So we don't have to speculate that was aliens either.
And the Southwest thing was because their software is outdated.
Yes.
That's why Southwest had all of its problems.
Yep. At the same time, it ruled out speculation that it was caused by a cyber attack. But Gellar does believe that it was a deliberate attack and not from humans. Oh, dear God. Uri. He commented while showing what appeared to be a flying saucer in the sky, thought to have been seen recently, and said that sightings of UFOs were on the increase near nuclear facilities. The quote is this real? Is it fake? It doesn't matter. This is just out now. All flights grounded after major systems failure. This is before I think the news came out that it was human error. Sparks travel chaos in the United States. I mean, a few months ago, we had the internet down, WhatsApp down, started Uri in a Twitter video. I have no doubt in my mind, he went on to say, that aliens are testing our so-called sophisticated systems. This is major. Lots of UFOs have been spotted over nuclear plants, nuclear submarines, and so on. They are doing something. They are testing us. He also wrote, so many UFO sightings near nuclear facilities. Okay, so I think if we let this breathe a little bit, it doesn't age well.
I just see I'm picturing two aliens in my head going, "Hey, Blurb, I know how we can get them. How's that, Zerb? Let's disturb their Wi-Fi. They can't TikTok. Then we can take them over and rule."
Probably. He went on with a couple other things that were embarrassing, too, when you let it age. But it is what it is. He did raise the possibility of a mass landing last year after scientists found a huge energy source 4,000 light years away, which he believes could be chatter from superior beings discussing a move to Earth. Uri did say on Instagram, a team mapping radio waves in the universe has discovered something unusual that releases a giant burst of energy 3 times an hour, and it's unlike anything astronomers have seen before. No doubt in my mind that this is connected to alien intelligence way, way superior than ours, Uri went on to say. Start deciphering their messages. They are preparing us for a mass landing soon. Hashtag NASA. Hashtag Hova, which must be the alien version of Hova, which would be Jay-Z. So he's getting a hold of the astrophysical Illuminati, evidently. Hashtag Spectra, hashtag aliens. I don't know why Spectra was twice in that hashtag, but it was.
I'm just putting this out there for our government. And all, you know what? Well, all world governments, when the aliens come, let's keep Uri far away from them, because we don't want him to be the first instance of human contact they have.
Yeah, let's try to keep him out of the sauce, or keep him off the sauce, one or the other. Yeah, because it won't be good. We don't want him to be the first contact.
No,
that's for sure. Yeah, we want someone a little more level-headed. Although I have been trying to get Uri on the show and I do want you by my side on that show, because there's millions of questions.
I have so many questions for him.
For Uri on that show. Another guy I'd like to have on the show would be Harvard professor Avi Loeb, who was on with TMZ this past week. Why was he on with TMZ? Well, he says we can't rely on U.S. government to collect data on UFOs. Scientists got to do it.
So there's no scientists in the government?
Evidently not reliable scientists. It says here that lawmakers may now be paying attention to UFO sightings, but that doesn't mean that they should lead the charge in investigating cases. According to Avi Loeb, Harvard physicist, he says it's time for scientists to take the reins. He was on TMZ Live on Friday of last week discussing the growing threat of UFOs, especially since a recently released report from the U.S. government revealed that there had been 500 plus UFO reports as of August of last year.
That's a lot.
Yeah, a lot more than what we would think the government would be taking in. So we've got some audio from TMZ. It's Avi talking with Charles and with Harvey about the 500 plus UFO reports from the government and why the government isn't the best source to be collecting this stuff. So here it is.
These sightings have been going on for decades. Is this something new? I mean, the Pentagon is acting like, oh my God, there are all the... Isn't this kind of standard operating procedure?
Well, the fact that they talk about it publicly means that they have no clue as to at least a third of the objects that they are seeing. Now, the government is not a scientific organization. The intelligence agencies are mostly concerned about national security, the safety of military personnel. So they want to figure out, are these spy drones, for example, that were sent by China, or are they something else? From a scientific perspective, it could be a mixed bag. It could be human-made objects. It could be natural objects. But even if one is of extraterrestrial technological origin, that would be the most significant discovery of humanity.
When the Pentagon talks about it, all they are talking about is, are these drones? In fact, they said that they've already identified, I think they said about 30 of them that they know are drones.
But there are certain things drones can't do.
And certain things that they can't.
Human technology can't do.
So is your concern that the government is not going to share enough information with the science with scientists?
Yeah, I think the government is not a scientific organization, and the data that it collects will remain outside of public view because it was collected by classified sensors. But the sky is not classified. Anyone can look at the sky.
Two of your comrades in arms, Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp, who are deep into this, they just don't trust the government, and they have said that even though the government held these hearings and Congress held these hearings, they felt it was a whitewash. It sounds like your project, the Galileo project, at a point you're just saying, look, we don't need the government. We're going to do this ourselves. We can do it better than the government, and we can come out with findings that will resonate beyond what the government says or doesn't say. Is that right?
Right. And it makes no sense to force the government to declassify information that was collected by classified sensors. We don't want to harm the national security interests of the United States. Instead, we can just collect our own data with instruments that are perfectly under our control, that we fully understand, and share the information with all humans, irrespective of their nationality, because anything from outside Earth is of interest to all humans. It has nothing to do with national borders. And of course, we as scientists or astronomers do not care much about drones that are made in China. So we leave that to the government. We want to deal with everything else.
So there you go. That's Avi Loeb putting out what he thinks and why he thinks the U.S. government isn't the best source to be telling us about what is and what isn't a UFO.
I think that the reason that we've had more sightings over the years is because it's becoming more acceptable to have a sighting. Where, 15 years ago, you were looked at as a nut job. If I saw a UFO. Where nowadays it's mainstream. I mean, they're on TMZ discussing it. Yeah,
but I think Harvey is the one who has the vested interest in UFOs on that program, and so he's really into it. In fact, I've been wanting to reach out to them and see if he'd be willing to come on the show, because they're the ones who, I think he's the one who's really, really into it, and in the fact that he's of that generation, and there's an older, the baby boomer generation is the one that really got into, especially with Roswell and the older UFO stories. Yeah. They're the ones who have really been, having grown up with the 50 space movies and the, Plan 9 from outer space, things like that. They're the ones who are fascinated with the idea of aliens and and an alien invasion and an alien landing on the White House steps and so, and even to a certain extent, Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
That shut down the country for a while, didn't it?
The movie, yeah. So
no, I'm sorry, War of the Worlds is what I'm thinking.
War of the Worlds, yeah. But a movie like Close Encounters of the Third Kind, in 1977, 76, 77, where the idea of being able to communicate with an alien race, just by tones, by lights, by that generation, that baby boomer generation is, I hate to use the word boomer because it's such a nickname, negative connotation, but just that idea that there's hope in reaching out to another race, not that they're evil or anything. I think that's still out there. So I think when Harvey talks about it, he talks about it in a way of, we hope that there's something friendly out there that we can contact. And, it's a hopeful project. It's not, are these things evil?
That's my feeling. I'm very hopeful.
Yeah.
But I'm the generation of Star Trek, Star Wars, E.T.,
See, I'm the guy who sees everything over at Skinwalker and goes, there just can't be that much love, hope, and unicorns out there in the universe. I
think with Skinwalker, what I get from that is we can't safely communicate with them because they're coming from an area where we don't know the radiation levels. and the human body's not made for radiation levels. Because if you think about it, every time they've had an experience, someone experiences radiation poisoning or sickness of some sort.
True.
And that's because we're not geared, our bodies aren't meant for that. And if you're doing intergalactic travel, there's going to be some sort of radiation.
Right. And there's also reports of people who encountering craft, the outside of a craft, and getting radiation burns.
Right.
So
I don't think it's there necessarily here on terms of harming us. I just think we're not genetically made to interact with them you know what I mean?
Yeah,
without protection.
Yeah. I got
And I don't think they know that about us yet.
That could be. They don't know that they're endangering us.
Right. Because if you think about it, every time that someone has an interaction and they get the radiation poisoning, it's not like the aliens sticking around to find out what happened to our body.
Right. Very true. Yeah. You got a point there. Speaking of, they don't know whether they're hurting us or not. We go to Argentina, where a UFO has flown over, I believe it's Trelew, and causes commotions as it does so. The paranormal episode took place on Saturday afternoon when cab drivers witnessed the flying object and took photos that went viral. While it's no longer a mystery that we're not alone in the galaxy and that UFO sightings are increasingly more frequent around the world, a situation of this kind can still cause a commotion, as occurred in the locality of Trelew in the province of, I believe it's Chubut, one or the other. Could be a province of a different kind. On Saturday afternoon, a group of taxi cab drivers witnessed an unidentified flying object over the skies of that locality. As is often the case, they documented the event and shared it on social media. The event occurred over Plaza Independencia, one of the city's main parks. When the intruder peered over the treetops, it drew the attention of cab drivers first, and then that of local residents strolling through the public area. I thought it was a drone, said Alejandro Biagio, a Trelew cab driver for some 40 years. In describing the most salient characteristics of the object, Biagio stated that when the object flew behind the church's belfry, we realized that it was very large. The aliens then did the old, here's the church, here's the steeple, open it up, and there's the people deal. But it's hard to do with only 3 fingers. The fact is that... Sorry, it just reminded me of that, because the next paragraph says, the fact that the fistful of people lucky enough to see the craft, you see where I came up with that?
I got it, yeah.
Were able to take photos with their mobile phones, which quickly went viral online with statements pro and con. So, yeah, there is a picture of it. And, of course, it's grainy and looks like the I Still Believe poster in Mulder's office. So there
Why are we still getting grainy photos? All these iPhones and Androids are coming out. They're talking about how great their cameras are.
Yeah.
Why can't we get a clear picture?
No idea, buddy. There's a new comet in town, and here's how you can see it. It's a green comet, and it's called ZTF.
Okay.
And it's only available until the 20th.
Oh, so we only got a few days.
Yeah, you only got a few days to see this. Newly discovered comet ZTF is coming the closest to Earth in 50,000 years. So you better get an eyeful before it's gone. It is visible to the naked eye and making big headlines. Some are calling it super rare and bright green. So it's the Hulk jumping through the universe.
We won't like it when it's mad.
At it. Comet ZTF was discovered on March 2nd, 2022 by a robotic camera attached to a telescope known as the Zwicky Transient Facility, or ZTF, at the Palomar Observatory in Southern California. A ZTF scans the entire northern sky every 2 days and captures hundreds of thousands of stars and galaxies in a single shot. Many comets have been found with this instrument. The most recent is cataloged as, see if you can remember this now, C2022 E3, or ZTF. Comet ZTF for short. So why is this thing so rare? Well, Comet ZTF has traveled a distance of 2.8 trillion miles.
That's a long, long journey.
That is. That's longer than your average car ride.
I hope we don't shoot it with a rocket and annoy it.
Yeah, let's keep the rockets away from it, shall we? Note to NASA. and will make its closest approach to Earth in 50,000 years on February 1st of 2023. Orbital computation suggests that comet ZTF may never return again.
Okay.
So it's a one and done.
So it's a hello, goodbye.
Yeah, it's not exactly going to stick around for child support payments. We'll just put it that way. What makes ZTF a green comet? Well, the greenish color is likely due to a molecule made from 2 carbon atoms bonded together called a dicarbon. This unusual chemical process is confined chiefly to the head and not the tail, if you know what I mean. I don't know what that means. I just figured I'd try to make it funny.
Are we going to have any new cults because of this?
That's a good question. The ZTF cult?
Because how long has it been since Heaven's Gate? That was what, 96, right?
It's been a while.
Yeah.
That's a darn good question.
If any cults are listening, don't do it.
No, don't do it. It didn't work for the last group. I would think they'd be a little smarter.
Yeah.
But maybe there's a son of Heaven's Gate somewhere. That's a darn good question. Huh.
Yeah. We'll find out after the 21st.
I guess we will. That greenish hue is likely to be quite faint, by the way, in the comet ZTF. The appearance of green comets due to dicarbon is fairly uncommon. So recent images show the head, or the coma, C-O-M-A, coma, appearing to be distinctly green and trailed by an impressively long, thin blush appendage, or the tail. But that is what a camera taking a long exposure sees.
Okay.
When you take a long exposure picture of the comet, the tint will look much less green to the naked eye.
Make it longer. We use a long exposure.
That's right. Use a long exposure.
Okay.
Right. So if you want to make it longer, Bruiser, long exposure. Long.
Gotcha.
See?
So, but I'm sending those pictures to Mrs. Bruiser.
Right.
Long exposure.
But don't flinch, because then it becomes really blurry. And it looks like a Sasquatch.
Okay. I'm okay with that too.
Yeah. All right. So when and where can you see Comet ZTF? Well, during the latter part of January into early February, ZTF may become bright enough to be glimpsed with the naked eye. Speaking of, use a reliable star map to track the night-by-night change in position relative to the background stars and constellations. So here's the dates and approximate locations. For this time of year until the 20th, look towards constellation, is it Boots before sunrise? Bootes with an umlaut. Boots. Well, Motley Crue is with an umlaut, so
yeah.
Boots.
Boots
Is it a long O or a short O? Boots.
Well, Crew is short, right? Crew.
Yeah.
So Boots? Bootez?
Not fluent in my German. January 21st, the comet will be visible in the night sky, only previously visible in the early morning hours. So you'll be able to see it fully at night on January 21st. Look north, above, and to the left of the Big Dipper on January 21st. January 22nd through the 25th, look near the constellation Draco, the dragon.
Okay, I know where that is.
Okay. January 26th through the 27th, look several degrees to the east of the bowl of the Little Dipper. On the evening of the 27th, it will be about 3 degrees to the upper right of the orange, is it Kochab?
Coachella?
Kochab. The brightest of the 2 outer stars in the Little Dipper's bowl. I'm not much of an astrologer.
Neither am I, but I know where the Big Dipper and Little Dipper are.
Did you see what I did there? People are going to get pissed off and write me now. It's not astrology, it's astronomy.
Yeah. I thought you were purposely making the mistake. So
yeah, I was. I want to see if I can piss some people off here. Yeah. January 29th.
You are no Galileo, my friend.
Yeah, I'm not. January 29th to the 30th, look toward Polaris. February 1st, look near the constellation Camelopardalis.
I can't look towards Polaris. I live in there's no snow. Oh, they have Polaris over like ATVs, so I can look at those.
Get on your snowmobile, go look for it.
Oh, I don't have one. But there's an ATV. My neighbor has a Polaris ATV, so I'll just look over there.
February 5th, look toward the brilliant yellow-white star Capella. That's of the constellation Gemini. And February 6th, look within the triangle known as the Kids star pattern in, is it Auriga? Directly overhead at around 8 p.m. local time. Boy, you really got to be a star watcher to know some of these.
We're really making some star watchers out there mad because I have no idea what we're talking about.
They're like, shut up, God, you're so dumb. You don't know what that is.
Galileo is rolling over in his tomb right now.
He is. February 10th, look 2 degrees to the upper left of Mars. You'll be able to see it. So there you go. Okay. That's how you find Comet ZTF. I'll find my 3rd grade reading skills after the break. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, it's AIAIAIO.
Oh, great.
Yeah. Here's what's going on. A little bit of retribution, though, Bruiser, by the end of the AI block. We're going to start it out with the fact that it screwed up a soccer game.
It's not a soccer fan. Okay.
It's taking over your favorite music, by the way. It's going to play really crappy Nirvana, Metallica, and Deep Purple for you. And then finally, swift justice on a $15,000 robot dog. Somebody releases a $15,000 robot dog on the street, and humans finally give it its just desserts.
Okay.
Yeah, we got that coming up. Also, we'll tell you about how exactly to tell if your house is haunted or not. Okay. Now, this may be like, well, Tim, isn't it obvious? No. A general building contractor weighs in. We'll give you some tips later in the program from an actual general building contractor as to tell how your house is haunted or not, if it's haunted or not. Okay. So you'll actually know for sure. This. Yeah. So paranormal investigators out there, perk up your ears because this is how you tell whether your house is haunted or not. All right. We'll do that when we come back from the break. You're listening to Supernatural News on a Wednesday. It's the Cruiser and the Bruiser right here on Darkness Radio.
Reach for the sky, boy.
Welcome back to Supernatural News. It's Wednesday right here on the best in paranormal programming. It is Darkness Radio. I'm Tim Dennis. Right over there is the Beer City Bruiser. Together we're the Cruiser and the Bruiser.
Taking over the airwaves.
Bringing you home on a Wednesday. Lots of AI news today, Bruiser. Lots of AI news. You know what? I gotta bring up this special little theme we have here. I think the kids there in the audience, they love this theme. I think it's this one right. No, it's not, that's not it. I just fired off a rim shot. I said I think the kids love this theme here and this one right here. And lets them know that civilization's at an end, Bruiser.
Yeah, because AI is taking over.
It's officially taking over our lives. We can't do anything about it. Now it's ruining your soccer games.
So AI hates soccer. I think I might like AI a little bit more.
I think I like it a little bit more, too. An AI camera ruined a soccer game for fans after mistaking a referee's bald head for a ball. There's your technology, kids. There's your technology.
So AI is wrongfully accusing people of crimes they didn't commit, and now it's wrongfully, it's like, bald guys are just soccer balls.
That's right. Yep. It can't tell a bald head from a soccer ball.
We're doomed. We're doomed, Cruiser. We're going to be soccer balls for the rest of our lives.
That's right. Technology and sports have a fairly mixed relationship already. You log on to Twitter during a soccer match for football, or soccer as we know it, as it's properly known, it's soccer. And as well as people tweeting ambiguous statements like, yes, and oh no, mate, to about 20,000 inexplicable retweets, and you'll likely see a lot of complaints about the video assistant referee, or VAR, and occasionally goal line technology not doing its job like it's meant to be. Fans of Scottish football team Inverness Caledonia Thistle Football Club experienced a new hilarious technological glitch during a match last weekend, but in all honesty, you'd be hard-pressed to say it didn't improve the viewing experience dramatically. That's the sound of AI taking over your football match. The club announced a few weeks ago it was moving from using human camera operators to cameras controlled by AI. The club proudly announced at the time the new alot system uses cameras with inbuilt AI ball tracking technology and would be used to capture HD footage of all home matches at Caledonian Stadium, which would be broadcast directly to season ticket holders' homes. It's a good change.
Their next tweet was, "Our bad."
Look at that football-y head. Cut to last Saturday when the robot cameras were given a new challenge that it hadn't been foreseen. A linesman with a bald head. Right.
We don't recognize this. That must be the ball.
The AI camera appeared to make the mistake of the man's bald head for the ball for a lot of the match, repeatedly swinging back to follow the linesman instead of the actual game.
The people at home are like, what is so interesting about this guy?
Many viewers complained they missed their team scoring a goal because the camera kept thinking the Lionel bald head was the ball. That's in quotes. And some even suggested the club would have to provide the linesman with a toupee or a hat.
Just don't give him a hat that looks like a soccer ball.
Right. Yeah. Or that could be even more confusing. With no fans allowed in the stadium due to COVID-19 restrictions, the fans of Inverness Caledonia Thistle Football Club and their opponents Ayr United could only watch via the cameras and were so treated to mostly a view of the linesman's head instead of exciting moments of the match that were occurring off camera, though some fans saw this as a bonus given to the usual quality of the performance. As you can see from the highlight reel, which you can't see because it's a podcast. Gotcha. The AI operated camera continuously follows a lineman's head, particularly struggling as the ball falls down towards the ground near him. You can practically hear its thought process. Ball, 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 head. There's a bald head. Zoom in on the bald head.
You just hear the camera going.
The object recognition technology could clearly do with a bit of a tweak, or else the team might actually have to implement the policy of bald referees being forced to wear a sombrero to differentiate between themselves and the ball. So
I heard the camera actually threw his arms up in the air and went to the bar and got drunk.
Yes, yeah.
He's like, I can't handle this.
Couldn't take it anymore.
I quit.
That's for sure. Well, the days of a live band, like literally a flesh and blood band, are over, Bruiser.
I figured that was coming because of all the holograms. Like when Tupac appeared at that show, I was like, oh, I know he's still alive, but it's a hologram.
It's now time for Billy Bob and his Showbiz Band to show up once again. Chuck E. Cheese and the band are now a reality. You're no longer getting a live band. It's just going to be the One Hacker Band from now on. That's the name of this AI band that's out. And they're covering all kinds of things. They're covering Nirvana, Metallica, and Deep Purple. That's right, folks. The One Hacker Band is assembling the trio of the future, which has so far made light work of Enter Sandman, Smoke on the Water, and even AI-generated original material.
You know what? They can try to do it all they want, but once Lars Ulrich of Metallica finds out they're doing this, he's going to take them to court, and it's going to be the end of AI music.
How do you get money out of AI?
Exactly, and he's going to take them just like he did with Napster. He's going to be like, nope, this isn't happening.
They have nothing to pay, though. They have no wallet.
It doesn't matter. Lars Ulrich will own that AI before the end of the day. Look what he did in Napster.
He's such a whiny little stooge, though. Do you know that?
Lars?
Yeah.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah.
I love Metallica. I hate Lars.
Yeah, I think everybody does. Love the band, hate the stooge.
Yeah, and when you watch their documentary, the Monster document, not Monster, I forget the documentary they have, 90% of their problems are because Lars is a whiny bitch.
That's true. Yeah, that's very true. So we've heard about artificial intelligence creating code for virtual pedal plugins, and this is, by the way, coming from Guitar Magazine. So if it's confusing you what a virtual pedal plugin is, it's all right. Most people will be confused by it. But what if machines could do more than just create gear? What if in some not too distant future, robots could actually play the gear they create? It's a hypothesis that currently is being loosely tested by One Hacker Band. Yes, that's the name of the AI band, folks, on Instagram, who is assembling a burgeoning clan of ragtag robotics components to become a fully functioning, entirely humanless cover band. Before you start worrying that an army of angry Terminator-style robots hell-bent on... That would be kind of cool, actually, a Terminator metal band.
That'd be true metal.
You got to let your imagination go on this one, folks.
Yeah.
Like without the skin, just the metal skeleton band. Come on. Like in a
I love it.
In a Chuck E. Cheese setting where you're eating pizza.
There's the T800. No, you could have, think about it, there's enough variations of the Terminator.
Yeah.
You could have the T800, like he's like the guitar player singer, but then you have the T1000 being the drummer because he can grow the extra arms and stuff and just go to town.
Yep. I'm telling you. Yeah, the Terminator.
You're onto something here.
I'm on something, one or the other.
That would be an amazing child's party.
That'd be a nightmare child's party. They'd go home screaming and crying.
And you really freak everybody out because you have Arnold come out and introduce them.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Ladies and gentlemen. Here's the band of Terminators.
Terminators are here.
Here's the first number.
Listen to us if you want to live.
Listen to us if you want to live. And enjoy the pizza. It's gluten-free.
It's gluten-free.
Yeah.
Happy birthday to Timmy. Here is one Huckabond.
And it's just this. Thanks, Arnold. So the One Hacker Band.
I just looked them up on Instagram too, because you said they were on Instagram.
Yeah. How do they look?
They look like instruments.
Yeah, that's all it is. It's instruments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's literally it's just a bunch of instruments. I don't know if you can see the picture.
Yep. That's what I'm looking at. I have a picture of them too. They're a fully functioning, entirely humanless cover band. Before you start worrying that an army of angry Terminator-style robots hell-bent on overthrowing the guitar charts is in the works, that would be kind of cool, actually. There are some caveats to this particular project. Namely, these robots aren't AI robots at all, just wired and programmed servo parts curated in order to play their respective instruments. There is a video of them playing Enter Sandman. Because of copyright stuff, I can't play Enter Sandman for you. I'm
you don't want Lars coming after Darkness Radio.
Yeah, I don't want them coming after Darkness Radio. Although there is their cover of Smells Like Teen Spirit and Smoke on the Water. Do they have? Oh, they have them playing Beat It too. I wonder if they have.
We can go for Beat It. He's long gone.
I think just because they're gone doesn't mean someone doesn't own the publishing. I think this is this him? This might be him playing the AI generated music. Let's see here. What do you give it on a scale of 1 to 10, Bruiser?
It sounds like video game music.
It does, yeah. Yeah, I'm not impressed.
I'm not either. This is video game music. This is literally someone could do this with their computer. Yeah. Like I remember, I've played numerous games, and they'll play in music, and it'll be like, "Oh, this is a good song," and then it's like, "Oh, yeah."
Yeah, it's you're right. It's video game music. So there you go. That's the One Hacker Band. So Yeah, they use the Magenta Studio plugin and Ableton, which uses machine learning techniques for music generation. And the intrepid engineer created a range of artificially generated riffs and hooks, which the band has no issue performing. So there you go.
He has a picture of the Nintendo Power Glove, and he hacked it.
Yeah. So he can play the instruments. Yep.
Like the Power Glove is an amazing thing.
Yeah.
And then if you watch another video, he's wearing a cane mask painted green. There's nothing original about this guy. I do not like him.
You don't like him.
I am done with this guy.
Well, if you don't like him, Bruiser, you might want to do to him what some people on the street did to a $15,000 robot dog.
What did they do to the dog?
Well, let's tell you what they did to the dog, Bruiser. A $15,000 robot dog took a walk for about 30 seconds on Brisbane Street over in Australia before somebody punted it in the head. That's right, folks. Leave it to humans to give AI its just desserts, and robots for that matter. Leave a human alone with a robot and we'll do what's right.
That's the shortest Terminator movie ever.
It is. See, Terminator would never exist in this reality.
No, someone would kick it in the head.
That's right. Someone would kick it in the head. That would be it. Done. We just have to say rest in peace, Stampy the dog.
Stampy the
When Mark Trudeau took his robot dog Stampy to Fortitude Valley on a Saturday night, he didn't expect man's artificial best friend to leave with a kick to the face.
It's not animal abuse. It's not a real dog.
That's right. But that's exactly what happened. A kick to the face. Not once, Bruiser, but twice. Yeah.
Double tap.
That's right. You gotta have two to the head to make sure it's dead. While the first stomp may have been considered an accident, a second 45 minutes later from the same person cemented it as well, and it was deliberate.
I told you to get out of here.
The quote here is, I'm not really sure why she did it. It was a she, by the way. Thank you, lady. Probably just thought it was funny at the time, Trudeau, an engineer who works for AeroPoint Systems, a company that provides equipment to mining and military companies, told Vice. And Stampy isn't just a fun little robot. He's actually a $15,000 piece of military-grade equipment. A bare-bones system programmed to be used in dangerous conditions like search and rescue missions.
Well, you know what? She's just helping him, because if you're in a search and rescue mission, something might fall on the dog's head.
That's right. Although, in all fairness, Stampy is a smaller version, Trudeau actually said, of the pretty non-intimidating machine, which made it all the more kickable.
Yeah. Did she say why she kicked it?
Well, let's find out.
I'm curious.
Trudeau went on to say...
I kicked that bloody dog.
Trudeau went on to say, so the ones you would normally send into dangerous situations are a little more hardy. They can get over larger objects, whereas Stampy can only go up to normal-sized stairs and climb them. If you wanted to get over rubble or into a collapsed cave, then he would be okay for some applications. According to Trudeau, bots like Stampy can be fitted out with gas sensors to check air quality, create 3D maps, and generally go where humans can't. Stampy also sometimes takes Trudeau's cat, Chairman Meow, to the park with a leash. Oh, Stampy. But if you're asking why someone would take such an expensive piece of equipment out in one of Brisbane's rowdiest party districts on a Saturday night, Bruiser, if you're really wanting to know why she kicked Stampy twice...
I bet you he was going to pick up chicks. He thought he could pick up chicks.
No.
You don't think he was? You don't think he's going to be like, oh, look at these girls are going to love Stampy?
No, it was to test its obstacle avoidance and 3D mapping capabilities.
Sure. Yeah, of course.
It was also 2:30 a.m., well past the street switching hour. He says, I do understand people's perspective of saying you shouldn't take it down into the valley and whatnot, says Trudeau, but I don't have any mine shafts handy nearby to help me utilize the later intention for what we plan to do with this particular unit. Good news for Stampy's redemption, though. A day after Stampy the dog was brutally kicked in the head, Truno put a $500 bounty out for information on the culprit. The first person to dob her in, or turn her in, I guess, was a man Truno believes to be her friend. The same guy that was with her the night of the stomp. So we have a Judas in our midst.
$500 buys a lot of Fosters, man.
That's right. The other person is actually the one that contacted me, and he at the time was really pissed off with her, Truno went on to say. So he clearly wasn't impressed with her behavior. Truno also added that the man was actually contacting him on behalf of the girl.
Oh, she felt guilty.
Maybe.
Or sobered up. One or the other.
Well, I think she probably sobered up. She contacted me a day later and then spoke to me last night, Truno went on to say. And so effectively, the reward will go to them, but we haven't discussed it. We thought it would be more appropriate for that reward to go to an animal shelter for actually abused animals. I figure at least something good can come of it. Well, that's nice of them.
Yeah, that is cool.
Yeah.
But still no explanation of why she kicked the thing in the head.
Well, we're not done with the story.
I thought we were. Okay.
Stampy's damage, which included the loss of its 3D mapping data and impairment of its depth perception sensors, came to an estimated $2,500. He says that as the girl is quite young and may not have the funds, he's not pressing her to pay. She has offered to, but I am undecided what to do in that regard yet, he said. While Stampy's looks may be deceiving, the robot dog actually weighs up to 20 kilograms, made from a combination of steel, aluminum, and carbon fiber, a fact that may have surprised its Stampy. He's pretty sturdy. She gave him a good pump, said Truno. And when I spoke to her the next day, she said she almost broke a toe as a result. If you saw the video, I'd say he barely moved, so he did pretty well to stand up for it. No, it doesn't mention anything else about her, so there you go. Funny stuff, though.
It is. It is great.
And she almost broke a toe. Funny stuff. Let's change subjects from AI to ghosts, shall we?
Yes, please.
Okay. A ghost hunter warned to get out of an Erie church in what he calls a chilling paranormal encounter. A ghost hunter from Yorkshire, we're going across the pond, claims a ghost told him to get out of a haunted monastery in Leeds while he was detecting paranormal activity via his safe range EMF meter. A ghost hunter has been warned to get out of an Erie church in a chilling paranormal encounter. It has emerged. Andy Pollard, who is also known on YouTube as the Yorkshire Ghost Guy.
Okay.
It's an
good title.
Interesting thing to look up on YouTube. Claims that a phantom recently warned him to get out from a haunted British monastery. The ghost hunter, who claims to have video and audio footage of the phantom, experienced the scary encounter while walking around Kirkstall Abbey in Leeds. Leeds Live reports how the ghost hunter went to explore the building during an afternoon when it was well lit and took a safe range EMF meter with him. The meter detects electromagnetic fields by using a bright LED array on a tiny device going from green to red depending on strength. It is known as a K2 machine and is similar to a Geiger counter, which is used to detect, it says here, nuclear waste. It's not detecting nuclear waste.
No.
It's detecting electromagnetic frequency. I'm so glad that I believe this is the Mirror I'm reading. The Mirror is so up on their K2 meters.
I was going to say K2's been around forever.
It has. It's used by it's used by electricians. It's not used by nuclear electricians.
Well, you got a problem here. What's that? Well, you either got a lot of electricity or a ton of nuclear waste in your basement.
Yeah. So what kind of nuclear waste are you holding, ma'am? Jesus. Tell you.
Tim, we got to get us haunted house. Why? You picking up something? Yeah, a lot of nuclear waste. Let's go.
It's amazing, ma'am. I don't know how you got so much nuclear waste down here, but you say this house has been around since the 1500s? Shit. Wow. I knew some tabloids were full of it, but that's full of it. Well, Mr. Pollard was walking around the haunted monastery with nuclear waste. Go figure. Go figure, Bruiser.
Good place to hide it.
Right?
Yeah. No one would come in here. The ghosts protect the nuclear waste.
Yeah. Well, that's popular among ghosts to lay a thin layer of nuclear waste wherever they go so that you don't follow them.
Ah, gotcha.
Right.
So we went from ectoplasm to nuclear waste.
Yeah. Well, they're stepping up their game a little bit. I don't know if you know that or not. Yeah.
Damn livings always bugging us. I know how we can get rid of them.
Nuclear waste. Hey, anybody been to 3 Mile Island lately to pick up more of that nuclear waste to keep these guys away? They don't listen to us when we yell, "Get out."
Anybody in here, nuclear explosion victim? Anybody? You? Okay, come here.
Come here. We need you. We need your waste products.
We need you to shit in this bucket, please.
We need to spread it around. Yep, scat everywhere. While Mr. Pollard was walking around the haunted monastery looking for nuclear waste, he claims that he detected the strongest ever recordings that he had seen on the meter. Wait a minute. How do you get recordings on a K2 meter?
This is so confusing. I don't think it's a K2 meter.
This story is such bullshit. Let's read further. I can't wait for the fables that come up.
I can't wait till it projects a hologram of the Phantom pointing at him.
Yeah.
Get out.
You get out. The ghost hunter who began investigating ghosts after his father died in 2003 said, "I arrived mid-afternoon, so it was still light. It was my first visit to the Abbey, and I wasn't disappointed. After a brief walk around the grounds, I began my investigation into the chapel house. It was here that I was lucky enough to capture some of the strongest K2 responses I ever recorded. It was because of the nuclear waste."
Hey, Tim, can I return my K2 meter along with this article and explain why I'm returning it?
Does it not give you the recordings you're looking for?
Just be like, hey, my K2 doesn't do this stuff.
Yeah, mine just gives me little level readings on electromagnetic fields. I mean,
that's all mine does.
Yeah. It says, he went on to say, straight away the responses started, and they were really strong. This is odd because a lot of time on investigation, I capture very little or no activity on the K2. Well, you're not in a nuclear abbey. I mean, let's face it.
I don't think he has the right K2 meter for ghost hunting.
Yeah, the weapons of mass destruction aren't in the basement of the abbey. That's why you're not getting any activity. This was made all the more strange because, to the best of my knowledge, there's nothing in the chapel house that could affect my readings. No wires or power source. Oh, what you said? Wires or power source? You mean there's no nukes up there in the abbey?
So they're not powering this abbey with nuclear waste?
I guess not. He said, I came away with a few odd audio clips, but not that many. I often find that on investigation, it's either one or the other, audio or visual. Well, how did he know if he was only using his K2?
This guy has the world's greatest K2 meter.
He does. I want to know who built it for him. Yeah. According to Andy, one of the voice recordings he captured has audio footage of something telling him to get out. Get out.
It's not a K2 meter, so get out.
Yeah. Why are you capturing me on your K2? This is freaky, man. He now plans to return to the Abbey to explore further. However, this is not the first time the Yorkshire ghost guy has had a paranormal experience. Oh, no. Yorkshire Live reported in November of 2022 that Mr. Pollard captured a ghost saying, I have stabbed her, on his audio equipment while exploring Spofforth Castle in Harrogate, North Yorkshire. He said a recent visit to Spofforth Castle in Harrogate, North Yorkshire proved rather intriguing. Not heard at the time, I believe that a woman clearly said, I have stabbed her. Captured this. And by the way, that's not an EVP on the file, folks. Don't email me and say, I got an EVP saying, I have stabbed her on your show. That was me whispering. Okay. All right.
So put your K2 meters away.
Yeah, put your K2 meters away. That's not a EVP. He said, I captured this on audio, but only heard it during playback. He also claims to have encountered other paranormal activity while on a visit to Matlock in Derbyshire. Matlock? I thought
he went to a TV show?
Yeah, he went to the set of a TV show and got Andy Griffith.
Okay.
That's amazing. On the trip, he captured a flying light that moved past him at speed, and he believes that was also a ghost. So there you go. He's capturing all kinds of stuff. He's a lucky feller.
He is.
And he gets it all with his K2 meter. Ladies and gentlemen.
I think that guy's eating nuclear waste.
Yeah, he's eating nuclear waste, that's for sure. So here's how to tell if you really have a haunted house. Let's not listen to the guy in Yorkshire or his newspaper article or the guy who wrote it. A general building contractor weighs in. This from paranormaldailynews.com. It was written by the contractor himself. It says he's a licensed California general building contractor and that he's done a lot of handyman type work over the years. What he wants to address are some of the normal things that occur with buildings that have been taken into consideration when examining a potential haunting or ghost. Now, he says he's run into quite a few stories of people claiming that something paranormal was happening in their home that were head scratchers even for him. He says, no, he'd like to think to himself, I've run into that kind of problem before and I know what causes it and how to fix it. So here's what causes it and how to fix it.
Okay.
Okay. So before you start running around yelling ghost, here's what happens. Now, houses do have systems and have their own personalities. They have water, electrical, sewer, heating, and often gas and air conditioning. And there's a variety of passive mechanical systems, such as doorknobs, locks, hinges, drawers, electronics, and electromechanical systems, such as ovens, dishwashers, garbage disposals, washers, dryers, etc. At any given moment, these parts of the houses are in various states of repair and are subject to the vagaries of their initial installation and general wear over time. In addition to this, houses have consumable items such as light bulbs, air filters that wear out, etc. The building may have been remodeled at some point or have various other idiosyncrasies. Every building's different. Some of them have things that go in houses that can seem paranormal to people who don't see stuff happen on a regular basis with the home. You have to keep that in mind as well.
Yeah.
All right. So in addition to this contractor doesn't think it's enough just to provide a list, but also to check for these things. Many of these strange things can be tested relatively easily as you're going through the home and as you're investigating the home. One of the things is lights that go on or off or flicker for seemingly no reason. Okay. There are different electrical paranormal quirks that can happen. If a light is fluorescent, this can be caused by a failing transformer or light. They tend to flicker when they're failing. Fluorescent lights often have a dark spot near the base when they start to go bad, and they tend to make a buzzing sound and don't put out much light. It's all fairly obvious if you take the light cover off and look at them directly. Some light fixtures, very common for recessed lighting, have thermal sensors that shut the light off if the internal temperature is too high. More common in summer on hot days when the attic temperature is quite high. This occurs where the socket is, high up in the fixture. The most common cause of this problem is recessed lights covered in insulation in the attic. You can test for this problem, but it takes a while. Leave the lights off for about an hour so that they have a chance to cool down, then turn them on. All the lights should come on, and then once they heat up, they will randomly turn off for a while and then come back on again after they have cooled down. Now, it can be loose wiring, which randomly makes contact due to environmental changes. You can't tell without exposing electrical boxes. Leave that to the electricians. Don't go in on wiring. This is pretty rare in comparison to other problems. With the lights, it can also be a failing switch as well. You can test switches by very slowly turning them on and off. They should either be on or off. If you can find a spot where the light flickers when you're doing that slow on and off, the switch is failing. So you know that that's what's causing that flickering. Any light with electronics, usually LED, is vulnerable to weird failures. Speaking of LEDs, they draw very little power, so it's possible for them to be on when there is effectively no power in the house. They're running off a trickle of electricity, so that's still running through the line. So there you go. That's where you can have that flickering on and off.
You can usually check that with an EMF.
Yeah, exactly, with an EMF. So having said that, scientific studies into mind and matter interactions, aka telekinesis, aka psychokinesis, which is what that is, or what this is, requires lability, or unstable or easily changeable. So it is possible that an ordinary failing electrical connection could provide an environment suitable for the paranormal. So context is important there as well. Okay. So weird knocks, creaks, and groans in the home. This is another one that's common in a paranormal haunting. These do exist as paranormal things, and unlike weird lighting issues, the contractor doesn't see a lot of these things except for water hammering, and it's pretty easy to figure this out.
Okay? I've never heard of water hammering. Okay, so this is going to be interesting.
Yeah. So this can be nail pops. Okay. That's the first knocking you may hear. A nail somewhere nearby is pulled by bending wood, usually warping slightly due to temperature changes until it pops up a little bit. They can be quite loud and are a distinct, short, sharp sound that comes from inside the walls and echoes around, making it impossible to determine where they're coming from. They can occur at all hours, but more typically, they come during temperature changes outside. So that can happen in extreme winter or extreme summer. Okay. So water hammering. Water hammering is more of a thump sound. It's caused by a sudden change in water pressure in a pipe that's not securely fastened. The more probable cause is water shutting off abruptly somewhere in the house. Usually this is faucets, but can be also washing machines. The cause and effect is fairly obvious, and it's fairly easy to test for this and rule it out. Usually the occupant will know what this is.
Okay, so if you're doing your laundry and you start hearing it, chances are it's the washer.
Yep, chances is it's the washer.
Or if your significant other or whatever is in the house taking a shower or washing their hands.
Yep. Plastic drain pipes can also rub against wood, making noise as they expand or contract. If they're wedged in a particular way, this contractor's also seen it happen once in 20 plus years. So it's not likely at all that it's a plastic drain pipes, but they can also rub against wood. Keep that in mind. Okay. Rare, but it happens. Floor squeaks. While this is usually screamingly obvious, step here and get a squeak. Step there and nothing happens. House settling or temperature changes can cause squeaks as well. We're all familiar with that sound. Creaking and groaning in a wood floor or in wood buildings. This is usually caused by the building settling. This is dependent on the soil in which the building sits on. Wood buildings on mostly clay soil will experience soil expansion during wet weather as the ground expands due to moisture, and shrink during summer due to drying out. Changing seasons is what's relevant here. A building sitting on concrete posts deep in the ground probably won't have this happen. Okay. Scratching sounds and movement in the attic. So you probably guessed this just from the description. And the contractor debated this with the editor of the article, whether to add this, because it's all fairly obvious what's happening. And what would that be, Bruiser?
Animals.
Animals or rats. Except for the occasional squirrel and bats, it's always rats. Okay. They need an opening the size of a quarter to get in the house. And if an opening isn't big enough, they can chew the rest of the way in, even through concrete in some cases. So don't think because you have a concrete foundation that you don't have a rat.
I've been in a house where we've heard scratching in the attic, and we've actually walked the exterior of the house and found where the dryer vent was.
Yep.
The hose was actually knocked off.
Yep.
And whatever it was getting in through there, and then it nestled and turned out to be little raccoons is what it was.
Yep.
But when you first hear it, you're
alarmed. Yeah, you're alarmed. He goes on to say it's not entirely impossible for a raccoon to get into some attics, like Bruiser just said.
There you go, yep.
Sometimes the roof framing is sloppy and leaves larger gaps where roof lines meet. Rats, squirrels, and raccoons commute, meaning that they have certain hours of activity in a home, and they're away the rest of the time. Cold air and weird smells. Now, this is quite common. Cold air for hauntings, weird smells for demonic hauntings. Houses are rarely airtight, so random air from outside can drift through from outside, even with windows shut and doors closed. The contractor is trained at his job to notice this stuff and can often identify what type of smell he's picking up or that cold air is blowing around. Air can drift through leaky air ducting. It can drift through chimneys and poorly sealed doors and windows with air gaps. It's this kind of thing that people don't normally pay attention to, but people are actively ghost hunting, would be far more aware of these changes, looking for that sort of thing, so they would be more likely to notice. Things to check for are, does the house have ducting running through a crawl space or a basement? Can you feel cold air blowing through the vent? Are the doors and windows airtight? This can be really hard to check for. What time of year is it? How cold is the weather outside? Is a whole area cold, or is it near the ground? Cold air traveling nearer to the ground almost definitely can be an ordinary cause, but a whole cold spot area is less likely to be ordinary. So keep that in mind. If a house has a basement or a crawl space, then in some situations, air can come up from gaps in vent pipes, lending to a musty smell to the air. This would be more common in areas where dry rot can occur, such as near exterior doors, bathrooms, or near an interior crawl space access. It also tends to be stronger in wet weather, so keep that in mind. Doors randomly opening. This is another paranormal deal.
To go back to the smells thing too, is you got to look at what kind of wood you're dealing with, because there's some wood that's very porous, and for instance, the common thing is cigar smoke in certain areas. Yep. Well, if that wood's very porous and that's where they always smoke their cigars, it's going to seep into the wood.
Yes, that's true as well. Doors randomly opening, which is a common cause. He says here opening and not closing, because most people can think of the ordinary causes for a door closing on its own, and it's not worth discussing. But a door randomly opening is harder to explain. However, it's possible under a very specific condition, so that's not what he's going to address, and this is quite rare. If the gap between the door and the frame is wide so that the door barely latches, then temperature and or humidity changes can affect the door enough to spring the latch. It's fairly easy to check this, and it's something that should be ruled out as an ordinary cause. So check to see whether the door is barely latching, and then see if it naturally swings open when it's unlatched. If both are true, then that's more than likely your cause. You may have read about this already, as it makes through the news sometimes, but carbon monoxide is caused by fuel burning appliances in your home. Carbon monoxide is also a reason for smell.
Okay.
So you may pick up smells in your home that you think may be of the demonic nature. It's not. It could be carbon monoxide,
which does have a sulfur-like smell. So
it does. It could be an oven dryer or forced air heater or some other gas-burning fixture. At some level, in between getting a headache and killing you, it can cause hallucinations as well. So carbon monoxide could be the reason you're seeing spirits. Yeah. This is quite rare, however. About 1.4 people in every 10,000 get sick enough from carbon monoxide to go to the hospital in the U.S. You can test this with an inexpensive carbon monoxide detector for as little as $20. And just to sum up, the contractor does think that hauntings and ghosts exist and that they're explainable, but he's also familiar with houses, and that his go-to explanation for most things that go bump in the night is probably something that needs to be fixed.
That's why I'm the type of investigator where you hear something, let's go debunk it. Let's go find the natural. And if we can't find the natural, then we'll look at the supernatural.
That's right. That's right. So finally today, Bruiser. Oh, wait, we've got a few things left before the finally. First of all, we do have some Parashare stories.
All right.
I do forget we got Parashare stories, but before we get to the Parashare stories, we've got Ziggy's picks that we got to talk about.
Yes,
now,
we do.
This week, oh my gosh, speaking of things that go bump in the night, I damn near was scared out of my socks when I looked at what Ziggy did this past weekend.
She went 5-1.
Yeah.
Yeah. She had one wrong.
I thought we were doing good, but Ziggy had one wrong, and that was my godforsaken disappointment of a team, the Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah. Yep. She chose the Vikings, which they could have won. It was a close game.
Right.
But she, and again, we have video proof. You can show it. She makes all the picks. And I remember after Saturday, I went to bed when Jacksonville was losing. Going, oh, okay, Ziggy, you're 1-1. Woke up the next morning, found out they'd won by a field goal. They won by 1 point.
Yeah, that game
So she was 2-0.
That game was amazing. I had dinner with my buddy Max, and we of course it was Jelly Bean and Julia's. We went over there. Had dinner over at J&J's. It was amazing, by the way. I don't have to rub it into anybody who knows. By the way, did I make the apology a few weeks ago for the listener who went over and they didn't
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So I don't have to apologize yet again. This time I went over, I got to tell you, this is how popular Jelly Bean and Julia's is getting. Not even I, Bruiser, can walk in an hour before closing and expect there to be brisket, ribs, or now chicken wings.
They're gone.
I went in an hour before closing on Saturday night, and none of those were available.
Nope.
But I
have so much.
I had one of the best darn burgers I've ever had in my life. And I was like, "Are you serious? You're out of everything?" And they're like, "Well, just about everything. We have burgers." And I was like, "Wow!" But I had one of the best darn burgers I've ever had in my life.
When we went to Hillbillies, I had the brisket sandwich, which was amazing, and Mrs. Bruiser had the burger, and it's just something about that smoky flavor.
Yeah. So, but I was in earlier in the day. This is my thing. I was there twice on Saturday because I had to get my barbecue for the godforsaken Vikings playoff game. So, which at least J&J's didn't disappoint me for the play, for Sunday, but the Vikings did. So
yeah,
there you go.
I was shocked. The biggest pick that she made was Dallas over Tampa Bay.
Yeah,
I thought she was going to. That was, because we know stats. We know you and I. We all know that she's just a dog, and she. I think this is the first time since we're doing Ziggy's picks that she chose against the Buccaneers.
Well, not only that, but the biggest stat out of all of them, Tom Brady has never lost to the Cowboys.
Yeah.
The other stat, which is interesting, if you look at Tom Brady's record, he's never gone a year. He's always had years where he's won the Super Bowl or not been in the Super Bowl. And every other year he's won the Super Bowl in his career for like the past, what is it? Something like 10 to 12 years.
Yeah. So this is the year he was supposed to go back.
Yeah. This is the year he's supposed to go back and win the Super Bowl. He did. He didn't. He didn't go back and win the Super Bowl. So amazement of all amazements.
Yeah, I think we have a psychic puppy on our hands.
I think we have a psychic puppy.
Yeah.
There you go.
Which is great because fans are following along on Instagram. They were the ones that were letting me know because when I woke up, I checked my Instagram and someone posted, "Oh, look at Ziggy 2-0." I was like, "Wait, what? No, they were losing."
Yeah. I just shook my head. I went, wow.
Yeah. And I think I said, I don't know if I said on air, but I know I told you that we had a friend who bet a parlay.
Yeah.
Last week was Ziggy's picks, and they ended up winning that parlay.
Yeah.
And it's this week they too was playoffs, so they didn't want to take the risk, but they were curious, and so we sent them Ziggy's picks, and then. This morning, Mrs. Bruiser told me that they texted and goes, "We should have went with her because we would have won a lot more money than we won."
Right? I should have bet along with
what happens next week.
I should have went to the sports book this weekend with her picks.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing. And she has no idea. That's the best part. And Mrs. Bruiser and I are making game of her now too, and we're watching the games or watching Sports Center. We'll tell her, "Hey, Ziggy, look at you," and she'll just, "Yeah, okay."
More treats.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like we were watching Monday Night Football, and she was laying in bed with me. I go, "Ziggy, how did you know the Cowboys?" And she just went and put her head back down. I'm like, "Oh yeah, sure." Yep. Now you're a little diva.
Yep. How do you not know? And what's even more amazing, if you watch the game on Monday, any part of the game, they kept saying, between Troy Aikman on the one cast and between Eli and Peyton, that the Cowboys hadn't won a road playoff game since Aikman was quarterback.
Yeah.
Since the Jimmy Johnson
They also made a statement,
years.
too, that at halftime, Tom Brady had never been shut out a half in a playoff game since his rookie year.
Yeah. Crazy stuff. Just
I have a psychic dog, ladies and gentlemen.
just crazy stuff, man. Crazy.
People are now asking her to do like, hey, have her do baseball, have her do hockey, have her do this. It's like, hold on, we just found this power. Let's see how far it goes.
Yeah, I think we're gonna dial her back after football season. A little bit.
Yeah. I know. I'm here at home. I think like when baseball starts, I'll have her choose a team from baseball.
Yeah.
Which team do you think will win the World Series? Just randomly. And then we'll see how she does.
Yeah, exactly. Special events and stuff like that. But
exactly. I'm not going to do the whole season, but whatever baseball team, I'll say, oh, this is who she thinks is going to win the World Series. And then we'll just leave it at that.
Well, we've got like NBA finals and NHL stuff, but like, special events.
Yeah. Like I'll ask her, hey, which team do you think?
Yeah. And hopefully our guys at Audio Boom will come through. Unlike
she's definitely proving herself.
I know, right?
She's definitely way over 500 now.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Yeah. In fact,
didn't you say it had to be like 70% and then she can be classified as a psychic animal? And she's got to be close to that.
Yeah. In fact, I have to, let me see here. Let me pull up the page. So Ziggy would have a percentage right now after the weekend playoff. Her percentage would be 82%.
That's a psychic puppy.
That's a pretty good percentage. So 82% with still one weekend of playoffs, championships, and Super Bowl to go.
Yeah.
And mind you, the percentages get higher as we go in, into, I mean, it's more of a high stakes going further.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's at 82% right now. So, I mean, that's a pretty good shot. Yeah.
I'm proud of my puppy.
Yep. So that's a damn good percentage.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm proud of her too. She did. I mean, for something that started off as a lark, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's for sure. I'm astonished, Bruiser. I don't know what to say. I don't know. I don't know what to say, man.
I'm shocked.
Yeah.
I am absolutely shocked. So
yeah, I don't know, but yeah, follow along with Ziggy's picks. We'll have more up before game time here. Is there Saturday and Sunday matchups again this week?
I think it is Saturday and Sunday. It might just be Sunday.
Okay. You've got the 49ers and Cowboys.
Nope. I lied. There's one Saturday, two Saturday, and then Sundays. Yep.
Yeah. So you've got, and then you've got Cincinnati and it's not Cincinnati Bills, is it?
Let me see. I just had it up. And for some reason, my TV just turned on.
There's a ghost in your house.
So we have the Jaguars, Chiefs Saturday, Giants, Eagles Saturday, Bengals, Bills Sunday, Cowboys, 49ers Sunday.
So not real easy matchup. So the Eagles, Giants is probably the easiest one to pick. Would that be fair to say? Easiest one to pick?
Yeah. That's the one that the Eagles will probably take it, but and who knows, man? I thought the Buccaneers were going to beat the Cowboys. She thought otherwise. She was right.
And then probably the toughest one, Cowboys, San Francisco.
Yes.
I got to think it's the toughest one to pick, although you got to probably favor the home team.
Yeah. And San Francisco's on fire right now. But Dallas, again, I don't know what she's going to choose.
Yeah. So, yep. I guess
there she is.
Up. Yeah.
She knows we're talking about her.
Yep. So yeah, we'll look forward to Ziggy's picks, and by all means, you can follow along either on our social media or you can go to Ziggy's picks on darknessradioshow.com and follow along. Those picks will be posted shortly before game time on Saturday. So yeah, follow along with us, folks. Lots of good stuff on darknessradioshow.com. We've got Bob Dennis's Urban Legends Stranger Truths program, which is up there.
Which I'll be listening to as soon as we're done recording here, because I'm going to work out and tan, and I listen to 2 episodes while I tan.
There you go. Our bios are up there. Lots of good stuff up there. There's Darkness Radio Shop, which is up there. You can get a hold of lots of goodies over there. We're going to be putting more goodies up here in the near future. I know Bruiser and I are working on different things. I think we're going to put a link up to Bruiser's Pro Wrestling Tees store.
Okay.
I think that'll be up in that shop as well. There's a link still to the Walking Dead #1 variant, the dealer variant, the Walking Dead #1 in near mint condition. There's just a few copies of that left. Use the code Darkness over at Granite City Comics and get 10% off of that issue plus any other issues while you're shopping at Granite City Comics as well.
Nice.
So yeah, there's a button to go over to Granite City Comics and get that issue as well as any other issues over there. Lots of good stuff on darknessradioshow.com. So check out that website as well. Before we leave you today, before our last story, we've got a couple of Parashare stories. Nancy was so nice as to write into us. She's got a real short one here. She said, I have a few Parashare stories for you, but we'll send one for now. Okay, Nancy, here's the one for now. From June of 2021. She said, while working from home in my office, I glanced into the hallway and saw an accent pillow-sized, about 14 by 14 inch white cloud shape hovering. Then it quietly darted into my bedroom. 2 days later in the evening, I was watching TV and happened to see the same white cloud hovering again in the hallway. It then darted through the living room into the kitchen and disappeared. I think it was my dog that passed away in December of 2018.
It could be.
Yeah, interesting.
Don't know how big her dog was, but if the dog was that size, it could be.
It could be. It's
especially the way it sounds like it's darting and stuff, because that's how dogs are.
Yeah, it's very interesting indeed. We appreciate the Parashare story there, Nancy, and we look forward to your other stories that you'll be sending along. So,
yes, thank you.
We have one more here, Bruiser. One more Parashare story today. Let's see here. It comes from CJ. It says, so this one is about my dad's side of the family. He had an aunt that was a sweet old lady. We butted heads off and on because she was so old school and old generation, so I hadn't seen her in years. She was in a retirement home and I hadn't been to see her, but one night I had a dream that I was in this beautiful place. All the colors were bright and hard to describe, nothing like we'd ever seen or see here. Imagine the bluest bright sky, amplified, and the brightest green grass you'd ever see. And colors of flowers and plants were not even realistic colors that you'd ever see here. It was warm and there was a beach you could walk down to go swimming. As I looked around, I saw 3 women walking past me. As I watched, it was my aunt and her 2 sisters. They looked like they were in their 30s and they were in bathing suits walking to the beach. I was shocked to see 3 because my aunt was still alive. There was no words that she had, as there was no word that she had passed at all, is what it says. I watched them laugh and giggle and keep walking. I woke up and knew that meant that my aunt was passing. I got the call just a day later. At her funeral, we were burying her ashes when a butterfly flew up, circled me and my 2 cousins, and started to fly away. And then it just turned back, headed back for us, and circled that final time before flying away. My cousin and I looked at each other and smiled, and that was her way of saying goodbye. My grandfather, her brother, passed away in 2020. So far, I've had only 2 visits that I can remember with him. And then his brother, the last remaining sibling, passed maybe 6 to 8 months ago or so. One morning, my cousin, his daughter, messaged me and said that he had passed away, but wanted me to know that before he died, he told her that my grandfather had been visiting with him often, and this last time he told him it was his time to go with him. He was apparently happy to know that his family was there waiting for him to come home. That is how I know when you go, someone is sent from the other side to bring you with them, and you make that choice, stay or go. It's up to you, but I would go. I would want to go with my family. Can you imagine all the ancestors that are waiting there for you? That's
true.
Yeah, I would like to think or hope that there would be ancestors there. I don't know. We'll just say I would hope.
I would hope so too.
Yeah.
If I'm going to the other side, I want to spend it with people. I want to spend it with loved ones, especially loved ones I've never met.
I'll just put it this way. And I won't take up a lot of time with it, but I had the I had the one experience when I had sepsis, and I was, I could hear the nurses saying my blood pressure was going down, my blood sugar was going down. I heard them saying they were losing me, and there was nothing but black edges to the room, and everything went dark, and I didn't see a thing.
Okay.
And then I came back. Now I know from having talked to certain people that I wasn't ready to go.
Right.
But there were no lights, and there were no, there were no relatives, there were no anything. So I don't know what to think. I don't know.
That'll always be a mystery of humankind, because no one has died for a long time and came back and told us what death was like.
That's true.
Death is always the ultimate mystery.
Yep. That is very true. That is very true. Well, with that, we end today's show talking about death.
Of course. Why not?
And you know what? I have a guest that's going to come up here relatively soon, the next couple of weeks. Reverend Oresti, who has a new book out there talking about how we get to say goodbye to somebody when we didn't get a chance to say goodbye to them before they died.
Okay.
And it has a lot to do with grief. So I'll let you know when that show's coming up here, folks, because it has the promise to be a really good show, really deep show, having to do with grief and grief over death. To those of us who don't have the visitations, to those of us who are sitting there at home and aren't connected psychically, maybe haven't had the experience with a psychic, those of us who are waiting for a sign, we'll get to talk to Reverend Oresti coming up here soon. So that show's coming up, just so you know. So our last story here, Bruiser, is an unusual one, and coming from a man who made a pact with his wife before she died, an unusual pact at that.
Okay.
A man lives with his 30-kilogram life-size silicone model of his dead wife.
That's creepy.
A little bit.
I love my wife, but I don't want a silicone model of her.
No, not after she goes?
No, I'm fine with the pictures we have. I'm fine with the portraits we have. I don't need a silicone model of her.
Don't want to sleep next to her for the rest of your life, animated or such?
Nope, I'm not taxiderming her. I'm not. Nope. No.
An Indian man has been making news headlines for honoring his late wife's wish to build a life-size statue of her so they can still be together.
I can see a statue, but I'm not putting it in my bed or my house. Like, if they want to build a statue at my wife's work, go ahead,
At her work.
But I'm not putting a statue in the front yard of my wife.
Yeah.
I don't think she wants that either.
No, I don't think so. Tapas Sandilia, a retired government employee from India's West Bengal, lost his wife of 39 years in 2021 during the COVID-19 pandemic. Indrani was taken to the hospital while he was forced into isolation, so he couldn't be by her side when she passed away, the topic of the program we're going to be talking about with Reverend Oresti. Determined to at least fulfill one of his wife's final wishes, Tapas started looking for an artist that could create a life-size silicone statue of Indrani and spend 6 months and around $3,000 on the unusual project. I have a picture to show you, my friend, which is going to freak you out. We visited the ISKCON temple in Mayapur a decade ago and could not stop admiring the lifelike statue of the order's founder, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. Tapas Sandilia told the Times of India. It was then Indrani had me of her desire for a similar statue if she happened to pass away from me. Bizarre. Last year, Sandilia found a sculptor willing to work on the life-size silicone model of his late wife and spent days working with him on a clay cast that would later become the base of the silicone casting. The 65-year-old made sure that the model came out to his liking, insisting that nothing less than Indrani's actual facial expression would do for him. In the end, I'm looking at the picture and it's freaking me out. In the end, the sculptor came through and a 30-kilogram silicone model of Indrani dressed as I believe this is a Asamesa silk sari that the woman had worn at her son's wedding reception is now permanently seated on a swing, her favorite place in the family home. My family was strictly opposed to the idea of installing such a lifelike sculpture, but it gave in. Some of my relatives and neighbors helped, Tapas told Indian reporters. If we can keep framed photographs at home after someone's death, why not a statue? He went on to ask. Albeit bizarre, this sort of tribute to a life spouse is not unheard of in India. Back in 2021, the odditycentral.com website wrote about a woman who built a marble idol to her late husband. And a year before that, there was a story of a man who lived with a lifelike sculpture of his dead wife. I'm going to show you this picture real quick, Bruiser, and get your opinion. This is just creepy. Here we go. You tell me, would you want your wife looking like that and sitting?
No.
I know, right?
That is too creepy.
I don't get freaked out by much, but that freaked me out.
Yeah, that's very lifelike.
Yeah.
No. Nope.
Yeah.
Not happening.
Sitting on a swing out front.
Yep. Not happening.
Yep. And then he's just sitting so cavalierly right beside her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's nope.
Yeah.
No, that freaks me out.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah, I'm not doing.
He's got his arm around her like, oh, this is my wife.
Yeah, he's all,
she is.
Hey, look what we did. This is what she wanted.
Yep.
I'm a good husband.
She wanted me to be right by her side, and here I am. This picture too. This picture's just Freakzilla.
Oh.
Yeah.
Go to a wax museum, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just bizarre. He's got, she's dressed in her sari and she's got a book in her hands. And it's like the two of them are sitting lovingly on the couch, except for she's silicone.
Yeah. And not alive.
Yeah, not alive. It's just disturbing.
Yep. Very creepy. Not doing that. Not asking that of myself or any loved ones.
Creepier than AI. Well, on that note, we'll take our leave today. Tomorrow on the program, we have Amy Bruni and Adam Berry from.
It's gonna be a very exciting show.
Yep, from Kindred Spirits. They'll come on, talk to us about the new season, which starts up on the 23rd of January on that Friday night, for this coming Friday night. And we'll talk about the new season. Possibly might have Chip Coffee. I don't know. He hasn't weighed in to see whether he's going to be with us or not. But we'll definitely have Amy and Adam, and we'll talk about the show. We'll talk about we might talk about personal relationships, about friendships. They have a very deep friendship together, and talk about how that's formed over the years, along with paranormal investigating. What's going to change in this season? How this season will differ from other seasons. And we'll get the scoop on this coming year.
Cool.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. I'm excited for that one.
So that's coming up. That's coming up tomorrow on Darkness Radio. I know where I am. Bruiser, what do you got going on?
Saturday, January 21st, Winston-Salem, North Carolina. I am wrestling Jerry the King Lawler. Gonna punch him right in the mouth.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
It's funny. My mom texted me the other day. She says, "Is it true you're wrestling Jerry the King Lawler?" I said, "Yeah, Ma." She goes, "I know him." I'm familiar with that one.
Oh, you said I know him. Okay.
Every time I wrestle, she's not familiar with them. And then when I did the Rock and Roll, wrestled them, the Rock and Roll Express, she knew them. Okay. And now I'm with Jerry the King Lawler. She's like, "Oh, I know of him too." So she's really excited about it. That's cool. That's very cool. Yeah. So you got the King himself on Saturday night. We'll have a link to tickets up on darknessradioshow.com. If you plan on going, get them now. The first 3 rows are sold out. So. Oh, okay. Well, get them now. Get them now. Yeah. Get those tickets now. Check out our own Beer City Bruiser against the King, Jerry Lawler. That is going to be a barn burner. Oh, I can't wait. I'm excited. That is something. So, a little reminder for you guys.
that we have shows continuing through, even though I'm going to take a little bit of a break here at the end of the month. We got new shows coming up throughout the next week and a half. We may or may not have, towards the beginning of February, we may or may not have supernatural news programs. You'll have an interview program instead. And we may or may not have Dumb Crime, Stupid Criminals, just so you're aware. It's no reflection on anything. We're not changing formats or anything like that. It's just that we, your boy needs a little break before surgery. So,
Yep.
So,
Got to get you healthy.
Yep. So I'm just going to take a little bit of a rest. And then mid-February, we'll kind of do the same thing as I convalesced for about a week after heart surgery. So we'll just follow that format as well. We'll have a few interview shows. Instead of the news program and Dumb Crime, Stupid Criminals, we'll just do some interviews. So just so you're aware, not a big deal. And then I'll be right as rain about a week afterwards. So just a little programming change while I convalesce a little.
Yep.
So
get healthy.
Yep. No biggie. So that's about it. That'll do it for today. Tomorrow, it is Amy Bruni and Adam Berry right here on the best in paranormal programming. You're listening to Darkness Radio.